My parents forgot I existed for 5 years, treated me like I was already dead. Then my aunt posted a photo of my luxury yacht online. Moments later, Dad texted, "You could sell it to help your brother." To understand what happened next, you have to understand what happened 5 years ago. You have to understand the day I was erased. It was 5 years ago, Cleveland. I was standing in the living room of my childhood home. I'd just driven back from my university, my cap and gown still in the back seat. I held the diploma in my hand. It was heavy, earned. I said I graduated, valedictorian computer science. My father, David, was on the couch watching a baseball game. He didn't look up, he just grunted. Good. Pass the remote? I stood there. The remote was right next to him. Before I could move, my mother, Susan, rushed in from the kitchen. She was holding her phone out. My sister, Jessica, was right behind her, beaming. David, look," Susan said, shoving the phone in his face. "Jess's new video, it just hit 10,000 views." 10,000 views? My father instantly muted the game. He grabbed the phone. "No kidding, 10,000, that's incredible, honey." Jessica, who was 22, flipped her hair. "I told you, Dad, my live, authentic brand is about to explode. I keep telling Ryan," she said, waving a hand at me, "that his degree is useless. This is the creator economy. This is the future." "That's my girl," my father said, beaming. He looked at me, his eyes finally finding me. "See your sister, she's building an empire." I looked at the diploma in my hand. Valedictorian, computer science. It felt weightless. Stupid. I didn't say anything. I just put the diploma down on the coffee table next to a stack of my mother's magazines. I passed my father the remote. He unmuted the game. That night, I was on the front porch just breathing. The screen door creaked. It was my Uncle Mark, my mother's brother. He was the only one who showed up to my graduation. He sat next to me. He didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, he handed me a beer. "They're never going to see you, Ryan," he said, his voice quiet. I stared out at the street. "I know." "You're competing against a shadow," he said. "She's a fantasy. She's potential. You're just reliable. You're just facts. And they hate facts." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a white envelope. He pushed it into my hand. "They're drowning in her fantasy, and they're going to try and pull you down with them. Don't let them." I opened the envelope. Inside was cash, a thick stack of 20s and 50s. "It's not much," he said. $750. It's all I've got, liquid. Go to Austin, go to Silicon Valley, go anywhere, but go." He stood up. "And don't look back, because if you do, they will drain you dry." He went inside. I sat there for another hour. Then I went to my room, packed one duffel bag, and walked out of that house before the sun came up. It didn't feel like running away. It felt like a strategic deployment. The first job was the graveyard shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. entry-level IT support, resetting passwords for people who couldn't be bothered to read the manual. My days were my nights, but my nights were mine. I'd get off work, the sun just coming up. I'd go to a 24-hour diner, drink black coffee, and study. From 7 a.m. to noon, it was all books. I wasn't just getting by. I was retooling. CISM, Certified Information Systems Security Professional, Certified Information Security Manager. I ate, slept, and breathed encryption protocols. I slept for 5 hours. I woke up, I did it again. For 2 solid years, my life was that loop. And in all that time, my phone was silent. No happy birthday text, no Merry Christmas call, not a single "how are you," nothing. Out of some stupid lingering habit, I checked Facebook one night. My mother, Susan, had posted an album. "Congratulations to our girl Jessica on her new SUV." There she was, posing in front of a brand new top-of-the-line white SUV. My father, David, was in the comments. "Nothing but the best for our queen. Hard work pays off." Hard work. And in all that time, my phone was silent. I saw it. A wire transfer. $30,000 from their savings account to hers. It wasn't a loan, it was a gift. I stared at the number. I didn't feel anger, I felt clarity. This wasn't a family, it was a failed investment, and I was the asset they'd written off. I logged out, I deleted the app from my phone, I unsubscribed from the family plan permanently. That was the end of year 2. Year 3 is when everything changed. I was working as a junior manager by then. A client, a mid-level financial firm, had a massive data breach. Everyone was panicking. I spent 72 hours straight in their server room. I found the vulnerability. It wasn't an external attack, it was a flaw in their core architecture. I didn't just patch the hole, I rebuilt the foundation. I saved them. And they knew it. The CEO called me into his office. He didn't offer me a bonus, he offered me a contract. Whatever you're doing, he said, I want you doing it for us. But not on their payroll, on yours. I quit my job the next day. I registered an LLC, Sentinel Data Security. The first year was brutal. Just me, my laptop, and a mountain of code. But I had a skill, and I had a reputation. By the end of the second year, I had 3 clients. By the third, I had 10. That's when I met Ethan. He was a corporate lawyer, sharp all angles. He looked at my single-page LLC filing and just laughed. This is cute, Ryan, he said, sliding the paper across his desk. This is a paper shield. You're making real money now. You're not protected. You're exposed. Exposed to what, hackers? Ethan leaned forward. His voice was quiet. No, from everyone, from bad partners, from lawsuits, and especially he paused from the people you think you can trust the most. He understood. So let's build a fortress, Ethan said. And we did. It wasn't a company, it was a system. We created a holding company. Under that, a series of operating LLCs. My house, my car, my assets, everything was moved into trusts. Every asset was insulated from every other asset. It was a legal and financial fortress built of data and steel. I was no longer just a person. On paper, I was a series of firewalls. Year 5. Sentinel Data landed the bank. It wasn't just a bank, it was the bank. The kind of institution that runs on paranoia and billion-dollar firewalls. And they hired us. The work was complex, brutal, and perfect. It was so successful, it got written up in a major tech journal, TechCrunch. The headline read, "The Architect of the Unbreakable Firewall." There was a picture of me in my server room. I didn't think much of it. It was just good marketing. But then my uncle Mark saw it. He was the one person I'd maintained quiet, respectful contact with. He sent me a text, "Now they can't ignore you, kid." I replied, "They don't even know it exists." He wrote back, "They will." An hour later, my phone exploded. Mark had taken a screenshot of the TechCrunch article and posted it publicly on his Facebook. He tagged me. His caption was a beautiful surgical strike. "This is my nephew Ryan. He built this from nothing, by himself." That's living authentic. Living authentic. The dry sarcasm was magnificent. He had aimed it right at the heart of their delusion, and it hit. My phone began to vibrate, and it didn't stop for the next 3 days. It was like he had kicked a hornet's nest. First, the flood. The distant cousins, the aunts, I hadn't seen in a decade. "Wow, Ryan, so proud of you, knew you, had it in you, we have to catch up." I ignored them. I deleted the notifications. I just watched. And then, exactly as predicted, the apex predator arrived. A new text message from a number I didn't have saved, but my phone recognized from the cloud. "Ryan, it's Dad. I saw the article. We need to talk." I read the words. We need to talk. 5 years of absolute deafening silence, 5 years of being a non-person, and now we need to talk. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel sadness. I felt validation. The cold, clean feeling a scientist gets when a hypothesis is proven correct. A new text message from a number I didn't have saved, but my phone recognized from the cloud. Instead, I took a screenshot. I forwarded it to my lawyer, Ethan. I added one word, documentation. I read the words, we need to talk. 5 years of absolute deafening silence, 5 years of being a non-person, and now we need to talk. I didn't reply. A week of strategic silence went by. My phone lit up again. Dad, Ryan, I'm serious. This is important. I forwarded it to Ethan. Documentation. Then Tuesday, I was in a deep focus video conference walking a new client through their system vulnerabilities. My watch vibrated. A security alert. Voice signature detected at front gate David. I froze. My house is in the hills, miles from the main road. You don't just find it, you don't just drop by. I opened the security feed on my second monitor. And there they were. My father, David, my mother, Susan, and my sister, the influencer, Jessica, standing at my front gate with suitcases. They had flown from Cleveland, they had rented a car, they had driven to my unlisted address, they were staging an ambush. I told my client I had a critical systems emergency. I muted the call, I drove the utility cart down the long gravel driveway. I stopped 10 feet from the gate. I didn't get out, I hit the intercom. "What are you doing here?" My father stepped forward, squinting at the camera. "Ryan, is that you? Open the gate. It's us." "I see that. State your business." My mother rushed forward, her voice high and frantic. "Ryan, honey, please, it's so hot out here. Just let us in. We just want to talk." Behind them, Jessica, arms crossed, was glaring at the house. "Yeah, Ryan," she huffed. "Nice place. Are you going to be weird, or are you going to let us in?" I looked at them, the three of them, the suitcases on the pavement. This wasn't a visit. This was an invasion. This was a demand. I killed the intercom. I drove back to the house. I sat in my office. I unmuted my call. "Ethan," I said, "they're here?" He was calm, on premises. At the gate. "Let them in," he said. "What?" "Let them in, Ryan. Let them state their business on your property. Let the cameras and microphones record every second of it. This isn't a social call. This is discovery. Let them hang themselves." He was right. This wasn't a family reunion. This was a deposition. I drove back. They looked annoyed. I hit the intercom. My voice was flat, controlled. "I'll let you in on one condition." David scoffed. "Condition? The suitcases stay in your car. On the other side of that gate. You come in, you talk, you leave. Those are the terms." Susan started to protest. "But our things, we just come in or go home. I don't care which." I pressed the button. The heavy steel gate began to slide open. They walked into my house. It's a minimalist space, mostly concrete glass and raw steel. It's not a home, it's a command center, and it's quiet. They were not. "Wow," Jessica said, her eyes wide. "This is a lot." She was already pulling out her phone, probably framing a selfie. "See, David," my mother whispered, clutching her purse. "He's doing just fine. He's fine." My father, David, just stared at the server rack I have encased in glass in the main wall. "What is all this, Ryan?" "It's what I do," I said. "You have 5 minutes. Talk." We were in the main living area. I remained standing. I didn't offer them a seat. I didn't offer them water. My father cleared his throat. He was trying to find his authoritative dad voice. "Son, we're in a bit of trouble." Jessica immediately jumped in. "It's not a bit, Dad. It's a disaster." She turned to me, and the entitlement was so thick I could almost touch it. My brand, my live authentic brand. I had a bad partner. He stole from me. He screwed up the financials. I need $150,000 immediately. I looked at her. I didn't blink. My mother, Susan, rushed to fill the silence. Her voice was trembling. "He's going to ruin her, Ryan. Everything she built. You're her brother. You have to help. You're the only one who can." She was crying, or at least performing it. "She's worked so hard," Susan sobbed. "Please, for your family." They all stared at me, waiting. The air was thick with their expectation. I let the silence hang. I let it become uncomfortable. I let it last so long that my mother's fake sobs hitched and stopped. Then I turned my gaze from Jessica. I looked past my mother. I looked directly at my father. And I said, "That's not the whole story, is it, Dad?" It was a simple question, but the effect was electric. My father's face went white. Not red, white. I continued my voice, perfectly level, perfectly calm. "Jessica doesn't need $150,000 for a bad partner. The bank needs $150,000. I saw my mother's eyes flicker. "What? What bank?" I kept my eyes locked on my father. "The bank that's about to foreclose on your house in Cleveland. The house," I said, turning to my mother, "that belonged to your parents. The house he's been secretly mortgaging for years to fund this brand." This was the criminal twist. The real one? The chaos I expected. It was instantaneous. My mother turned on my father, her voice a shriek. David, what did he just say? What did you do?" My father exploded. "He doesn't know what he's talking about. You stay out of this, Ryan. This is family business." "It is family business," I said, "and you brought it to my front door." Jessica was apoplectic. She lunged forward, her face twisted. "You selfish bastard, you have all of this," she screamed, waving at my house. "All of it, and you're just gonna sit there. 150,000 is nothing to you. You'll let us be homeless, you'd let your own family be homeless." I stood up. My voice cut through her screaming. It wasn't loud, it was cold. "Let's review the balance sheet." They stopped. Let's do the accounting for the last 5 years." I looked at David. "Year 1, I graduate valedictorian. You ignore me. You invest $30,000 of your savings into Jessica's startup." I looked at Susan. "Year 2, I'm working the graveyard shift to pay rent. You don't call me on my birthday. You're too busy co-signing the loan for her new SUV." I looked back at David. "Year 3, I found my company. I'm working 100-hour weeks. You take out a second mortgage on the family home to pay for her influencer trip to Hawaii." I looked at Jessica. "Year 4, you post about your hard work from a beach. I'm signing my first major contract." "Year 5, I said, my voice dropping, I make the cover of a magazine, and you show up at my gate, not to congratulate me, not to apologize, but to demand $150,000. I let the silence settle again. "The balance sheet is clear," I said. "Your account is overdrawn. My compassion has been fully depleted." I took a step back. "The answer is no." You owe us," my father yelled. "After everything we did for you? You'll regret this," Ryan and Jessica screamed, tears of pure rage on her face. "You'll be all alone with your stupid money." I took a step back. "The answer is no." As if on cue, my front door opened. Not with a knock, it just opened. 2 uniformed armed security officers stepped inside. My private security? They were large men, they were professional. "Sir," the lead one said, his voice booming in the concrete room, "is there a problem here, Mr. Reynolds?" My family froze. The blood drained from all 3 of their faces. My mother looked at me, her face a mask of genuine, profound shock. "Ryan, you called security." "Sir," the lead one said, his voice booming in the concrete room, "is there a problem here, Mr. Reynolds?" "I didn't call security, Mother. I have security." I turned to the lead officer. "These people are not my family. They are trespassing. They are attempting to extort me for money. Please escort them off my property. Immediately." My father puffed up. "You can't do this. I'm his father." The guard didn't even look at him. He just looked at me, waiting for the final confirmation. I gave it. "Remove them." That was the last time I ever spoke to them. 2 weeks later, the final pieces fell into place. My Uncle Mark called me. His voice was heavy. "Well," he said, "it's done." He told me the bank had foreclosed on the house. It went to auction, sold for less than it was worth. David and Susan, my father and mother, were in a small month-to-month rental apartment on the bad side of town. And Jessica was working at a coffee shop, taking orders, making minimum wage. She's telling everyone, Mark said, his voice laced with disgust, that you stole all her money, that you hacked her accounts and left them with nothing. Poetic justice. Even in her defeat, her reality was just another story she was telling. I thanked Mark. I told him he was always welcome in Austin. I hung up the phone. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel joy. I felt the quiet click of a lock falling into place. I made one last call to Ethan. "Ethan," I said, "it's done." I heard he replied, "She's still spreading lies. Defamation?" "I've already drafted it," Ethan said, "a cease and desist for all 3 of them. Any contact, email, text, social media proxy will be met with the full extent of the law." "Send it," I said. "Consider it sent." I ended the call. That night, I stood in my server room. The lights were off. Just the cool, steady blue and green blinking from the server racks. The sound wasn't silence. It was a low, steady hum. The sound of a system that is perfectly balanced. I built a fortress, I thought. I always thought I was building it to keep the hackers out to protect the data. I was wrong. I built it to keep my family out. This is the part of the story that brings a rush of satisfaction, the karma, the win. But let's imagine a different scenario for a second. What if Sentinel data had failed? What if after 5 years I was still working that graveyard IT shift, struggling in that same studio apartment? What if I had nothing and they showed up demanding money I didn't have? Would my decision to say no, to walk away 5 years ago, still be the right one? The answer is yes. Absolutely yes. We are all crippled by outcome bias. We judge a decision based on whether it turned out well or badly. We see the TechCrunch article and the nice house, and we say, his decision was correct. But the real value of what I did wasn't in building a company, it wasn't in the money. The value was in that single moment 5 years ago in that living room in Cleveland when I chose self-respect over their toxic approval. Success isn't measured by a bank account. It's measured by the peace you reclaim for yourself. The money, that's just a consequence. The victory, the real victory in character that happened the second I walked out that door. Blood relation doesn't automatically grant someone the right to destroy you. It's not a free pass for abuse. It's not a blank check drawn on your sanity. You are the only one who gets to decide who is worthy of a place in your life. You are the gatekeeper. You build the fortress. You set the terms. Have you ever had to fire a family member to protect your own peace? Let us know what your strategy was in the comments. This is Project Checkmate. If you believe in smart justice and hard boundaries, subscribe.